Thank you, chiefs. Under 40.33, under the rank system, a firefighter with a higher rank shall be in charge of firefighters of a lower rank on any assigned duty. The failure to obey a lawful order given the line of duty by a firefighter in charge of firefighters of lower rank shall be immediately reported to the chief of fire department for consideration of disciplinary action. Are the firefighter, who knows what happens in stressful situations as a firefighter? You know, there are amazing people who do amazing things, but my question would be, should we make a subsection of a firefighter may appeal to the Board of Commissioners by chain of command?
The appeal process, I think, is a given already under our problem resolution system. The reason we worded that specifically to say for consideration of disciplinary action means that they bring the issue to me and I determine, right, is this a valid complaint? Did he really disobey an order? Does it warrant disciplinary action, or does it just warrant verbal counseling, or is it totally unfounded? And that's why we worded it for consideration of. In other words, get the facts and then take it from there.
Okay.
But yes, if someone's disciplined, as you well know, they have the option of appealing it on up. So I didn't see any necessary redundancy in writing that.
Okay.
And if I could point out, because we have a very similar section
right,
for the police department. But take for instance, two persons assigned to an incident, say a detective on a crime scene, and I as a chief walk up there and start stomping around on the crime scene and going, "Hey, idiot, get out of there, you know, you're messing up my crime scene." You know,
right.
You know, he's a lower rank is giving me an order. You know, I'm somewhere where I don't need to be. You know, that person shouldn't be disciplined for it. The way the wording was, it would have to go to the Board of Commissioners. I'd have to present to the Board of Commissioners for me doing something stupid like that. So, you know, it's trying to put a little more common sense into this.
Thank you. And I think I just have two more things. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that I'm on the same page as you guys. That's all. So thank you for your time and putting up with me and my nitpickiness at times. Which one am I on? As 40.36, subsection A2. At the discretion of the fire chief, these positions may be filled from applicants meeting the qualifications are required by the job description from within or outside the fire department ranks. I know in the policy handbook that the city really wants to try to hire from within, and I think we talked about this 2 weeks ago, chapter 37. I didn't know if it could read to be filed from within and from within first, or something to that nature, so that the promotional process does exist, so that there is a promotional ladder, that if someone wants that job.
I believe that our policy now is that we post internally before we go external.
Okay.
So our posting policy basically puts the internal process in front of the external process, if that makes sense. And I believe, you know, Chief and I talked the other day about fire marshal, and
right,
you know, we talked about for that one, you know, let's post it internally, and then we can go the external route. If we want to post it or advertise it or do whatever, but let's look internally first and see where we stand. Lots of complications there about hazardous versus non-hazardous and some other things, but and you know, I think the city is going to maintain under that policy that we prefer to promote from within when we can, but we also like to have the flexibility that when there are cases where we can find just I don't know what word, an outstanding external talent that brings lots of resources to the city. I think the city needs to be able to always balance. Well, you know, we've got internal candidates, but are they what's best for the city? And I think that we'll try to make those work when we can, but I don't think we should tie ourselves down to just because somebody meets the minimum requirements, they're guaranteed to get that job internally. But I do think our policy, like I said, puts the internal process in front of the external process. So that we at least should know where we stand on internal candidates before we start looking at external candidates. And sometimes you have to look at both to make the best decision, I think. You know, if you don't know what's out there on the external side, how do you know that you've got the best candidate you can get?
I would just personally like to see a promotional ladder. I mean, not everybody wants to be a battalion chief. As you probably know, Chief, you've been here 14 years, but to allow someone at least to apply for the 4 positions that will be coming up. Well, fire marshal's already open, but and I know going from hazardous to non-hazardous, is that right? Hazardous to non-hazardous? That it really cuts you down a little bit more of how many people are going to apply for the position.
Just understand, I would never have a vacant position and go directly to the outside and skip over internal candidates. As Randy said, I would always take internal candidates first, and then if no one is qualified or doesn't meet the minimum qualifications, or if we have external candidates who are interested that far exceed internal, they could be considered, and that's all this means. But no, I would never eliminate internal candidates as a first option. I believe in that strongly.
Okay. Do you guys understand what I'm trying to say? I mean, I just don't know how to reword it or if it really needs to be worded, but you...
Pardon me? I understand, if I could respond here. I think I understand what you're saying. But I think I'm actually inclined to agree with our Human Resources Director that there's, I mean, I think our internal policy is always to move people up internally as best we can. But once we ordain it, then we just remove a significant degree of flexibility. And I just assume we have a strong internal policy supporting that, while still giving ourselves flexibility when it comes to the letter of the law.
I just don't like the wording, but I understand it. Thank you. I can get out of it.
Okay, you have comments? Well, okay.
One more. Sure. I'm sorry. I didn't know if we could have something read just a little different. I'm sorry, Chief. 40.02, the first one. It reads, in order to resolve complaints and issues at the lowest appropriate management of levels for employment-related matters, employees may appear before the Board of Commissioners only after following established grievance procedures, if appropriate, or through their supervisors, department heads, or city manager. Employment-related matters will not be addressed during the citizen comment portion of the agenda, does not prohibit employees from appearing on non-employee-related matters. To me, it's just more trying to make it read a little easier, to get rid of in order and just start with to resolve complaints and issues at the lowest appropriate management levels for employment-related matters, if appropriate, or through their supervisors, department heads, and city manager, that employees may appear before the Board of Commissioners only after establishing grievance procedures, period. Then starting the next sentence.
So would you keep the final sentence that says this? Or,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then keeping the rest of it, but just changing the way that sentence reads a little. It's just, again, a little nitpicky, but
Could be in favor of eliminating that whole paragraph, personally.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Moore, do you have?
I was just, Commissioner, Ed, I apologize, were you just, it appeared you were just deleting the words "in order" and then
Yes.
starting that paragraph with the word "to."
Two, and then changing where employees may appear before the Board of Commissioners only after following established grievance procedures. That part of the sentence would be changed to the latter part after the city manager. But I don't even know if appropriate needs to be there with that sentence.
Actually, no.
So the clerk and I can be straight. I apologize, but if you could read that for me again.
Yep. Hold on just a second. Matters. All right, are you ready?
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right, here we go. To resolve complaints and issues at the lowest appropriate management levels for employment-related matters through their supervisors, department heads, and city managers, employees may appear before the Board of Commissioners only after following established grievance procedures, period. Next sentence, employment-related matters will not be addressed during the citizen comment portion of the agenda, period. This does not prohibit employees from appearing on non-employment related matters.
And of course, that does not change the substance of the paragraph.
Right, it's
It
just-
clarifies it.
Can I ask a question, if you don't mind, real quick?
Sure.
Okay, sorry.
I'm sorry. Or can it says in those last two sentences of that of 40.02, employment-related matters will not be addressed during the citizen comment portion of the agenda. And then it says, this does not prohibit employees from appearing on non-employment-related matters. To stay consistent, I would say this does not prohibit employees from commenting at the citizen comments, because, I mean, if you have an employee who's having an issue and then you have several fellow employees who show up, they may not comment, but by reading the word appearing, that may lend them to possibly getting in some sort of disciplinary action down the road. Can we tweak that so that it would?
And I think that was the meaning, so that, I think that'd be fine.
Okay.
Does this has to be a part of the amendment we have before us right now, Mr. Moore?
We need to withdraw that.
I think it would be better.
So we need clarification
vote on
then
the
from Commissioner Hedden to insert what it is she wants stated, as well as Commissioner Turner for his, and then we just put those in with
The rest of
the
it.
rest of the amendment that Commissioner Wilder had made.
Correct.
Okay, so
Does that mean we should withdraw and restate the amendment?
Well, can I,
Or these
rather than doing that,
unsubstantive? We could vote on the amendment and then just,
can we do it separately?
I think,
yes,
I
I
agree.
would like that. Yes. So we have before us right now the amendment that Commissioner Wilder had recommended.
And that's been,
And we need to have a vote on that.
correct.
Okay, so we all understand we're going to be voting now on the amendment that from Commissioner Wilder. So please call the roll.
Commissioner Wilder,
yes.
Commissioner Hedden,
Yes?
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Commissioner May,
Yes.
Mayor Graham.
Yes, so the amendment as read by Commissioner Wilder would be made to the ordinance pertaining to Chapter 40.
Can I make a
Okay,
point?
now.
I had a question. Did we not already vote on that a minute ago?
We
I
started
don't
to.
believe we had.
We didn't actually vote on it? We could, okay.
Okay, then Commissioner Hedden, please state, read what it is.
Do I
that
need
you-
to read it again?
Do these other changes need to be voted on, or are they insubstantive? Are they?
Do I need to read it again?
If you're going to change 40.02, we did it by amendment with Commissioner Wilder's revision. I think we ought to do it by, we did it by motion on Commissioner Wilder's amendment, so let's be consistent and do it by motion here for your amendment, Commissioner Hedden, and then it'll be rewritten according to those two amendments, and that will complete the first reading.
And we don't need to amend my suggestion, do we? I mean, that, since it was the same in the spirit on 40.02.
If Commissioner Hedden can just include that in her reading, where instead of saying appearing, she can say commenting.
You want me to read it now? Are you guys ready? All right.
Make a motion to,
I make a motion to have 40.02 procedure for departmental complaints. Read as follows. To resolve complaints and issues at the lowest appropriate management levels for employment-related matters through their supervisors, department heads, and the city manager, comma, employees may appear before the Board of Commissioners only after following established grievance procedures, period. Employment-related matters will not be addressed during the citizen comment portion of the agenda, period. This does not prohibit employees from commenting on non-employment related matters, period.
okay, I have that. Okay, so we have a motion, got a second from Commissioner Turner. Any more discussion on that? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wilder,
Yes.
Commissioner Hedden,
Thank you all so much for your due diligence with this. I know it's been a long time, so thank you and yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Commissioner May,
Yes.
Mayor Graham.
Yes, so the amendment to orders 40 as presented by Commissioner Hedden is adopted. And then without objection, with those included in their first reading, we'll move on. Except the first reading.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, next item on the agenda are orders, and there being none. And then next item is resolutions. Mr. Goins.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution 6.1 is a resolution amending the agreement between the City of Frankfort and Kentucky Transportation Cabinet dated May 11, 2009, authorizing the acceptance of grant funds of $89,185 for the Safe Routes to School program, and designating the mayor to execute all documents pertaining to this grant by extending the grant period to June 30, 2013. This grant funds would be used to install and repair sidewalks at 6 Frankfort and Franklin County schools to enable students to walk or bike to school.
Okay, I do have a motion for Commissioner May, a motion for adoption, and we got a second from Commissioner Hedden. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wilder,
Yes.
Commissioner Hedden,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Commissioner May,
Yes.
Mayor Graham.
Yes, so resolution 6.1 is adopted. Mr. Goins.
Item 6.2, Resolution 6.2, resolution to authorize application submission of a 2012 Kentucky Community Development Block Grant for a community project under the Slums and Blight National Objectives for the stabilization of the old YMCA building located on Bridge Street, not to exceed $500,000, and authorize the mayor to sign all documents related to this application.
Okay.
There would be no match to this grant.
Okay. We have a motion?
Move for approval.
All right, got a motion for approval. Commissioner Turner, any second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Wilder, any discussion? Okay, call the roll.
Commissioner Wilder,
Yes.
Commissioner Hedden,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Commissioner May,
Yes.
Mayor Graham.
I'm going to vote no, not because I'm against the Y, because people who know that, me around, know that's not true. My no vote is the fact that it's a window, we have a window to make one application. And in my heart of hearts, I would support trying to upgrade the homes in Belport, that's all. So I'll say no, and so the resolution 6.2 is approved. All right, next to have is the consent calendar.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 7.1 under consent is to authorize a bid award to Red River Ranch Incorporated for a 2-year yard waste grinding contract. This is for the low bid of $5,340 per trip, which was submitted by Red River Ranch. the city diverts approximately 3,000 tons of yard waste from the landfill using this process. Item 7.2, to authorize a contract with Paymentus to provide an online payment service for the city of Frankfort. This contract will allow the city of Frankfort to offer taxpayers online payment system for fees and taxes. Item 7.3, to authorize entering into a contract with Biohabitats Incorporated for construction observation services regarding Cove Springs and Penitentiary Branch stream restoration project through the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources under professional services, and designating the mayor to execute all documents pertaining to this agreement. The amount of this contract is not to exceed $45,700. There would be no match for this grant. Item 7.4, to authorize the filing of a 2012 grant application with Foundation of American Institute for Conservation of Historic and Artistic Works for a True View Optium Conservation Grant, and to authorize the mayor to sign all grant documents. This would be a cash amount up to $4,000 donated through True View Optium acrylic glazing materials for the city museum. There would be no match for this grant. Item 7.5, authorizing to bid a construction contract to continue with stormwater separation on the Home Street corridor. Kentucky Community Development Block Grant for Disaster Recovery Project for the Home Street area. We recently received and were notified that we were awarded $600,000 grant to continue with stormwater separation on the Home Street corridor. Item 7.6, to authorize preparation of a purchase order with Republic Services for disposal of biosolids at the Benson Valley landfill. This would dispose of approximately 5,000 wet tons or 5,800 cubic yards of dewatered biosolids annually from the wastewater treatment plant. The purchase order will be an amount up to $50,000. Item 7.7, to authorize a sewer extension contract with BGL LLC for a sewer extension to 1220 Versailles Road, and authorize the mayor to sign all documents related to this contract. Item 7.8, to authorize amending a contract with HMB Professional Engineers Incorporated for additional design services for the failing brick sewer on West Main Street, and authorize the mayor to sign all documents related to this project. This is necessary during the evaluation of alternatives and construction of the new courthouse. It was discovered that the sewer in Catfish Alley is also failing. This would bring the total amount of this contract to $86,487.50. Item 7.9, to authorize a contract amendment to Palmer Engineering Company Incorporated for additional design services for the Fort Boone Pump Station replacement project along Wilson Boulevard, and the mayor to sign all documents related to this project. This project will move the pump station and enlarge the capacity. This is Amendment 2 and covers additional design due to relocation caused by conflicting plans with Buffalo Trace Distillery. This brings the total amount of this contract to $112,200. Item 7.10, to authorize entering into a sewer extension contract and approve a promissory note with Hochstrater Properties number 11 LLC, and authorize the mayor to sign all documents related to this contract. Hochstrater Properties will pay the sewer department $69,210.78 to partially offset the cost of construction of the Jones Lane pump station. Item 7.11, to authorize award of an engineering contract with Burgess and Nyepel Incorporated for design services to retrofit existing pump stations with a quick connect for generator connections and to authorize the mayor to sign all related documents. This contract is not to exceed $25,000. Item 7.12, to authorize award of an engineering contract with GRW Incorporated for the evaluation and preliminary engineering associated with Country Lane I&I reduction project and authorize the mayor to sign all documents related to the project. Upon review of statements of qualifications, a short list of 5 firms were interviewed for the Country Lane I&I reduction project, and 4 members of the sewer department participated in the interviews of the shortlisted firms. The selection committee unanimously recommends the project be awarded to GRW. The initial contract will be billed hourly at a rate not to exceed $100,900. Item 7.13, to authorize award of an engineering contract for O'Brien and Gear for the evaluation and preliminary engineering associated with Holly Hills and Meadows I&I reduction project, and for the mayor to sign all documents related to this project. Once again, upon review of the statements of qualifications, a short list of 5 firms were interviewed for the Holly Hills and Meadows I&I reduction project. 4 members of the sewer department participated in the interviews and shortlisted firms. The initial contract will be billed hourly at a rate not to exceed $158,000. Item 7.14, to authorize award of an engineering contract for Burgess and Nyepel for the evaluation and preliminary engineering associated with the Tierra Linda I&I reduction project, and for the mayor to sign all documents related to this project. Item 7.15, to authorize approval of installation of a backflow valve preventer at 305 Seminole Trail, and for the mayor to sign all documents related to the project. The amount of reimbursement will be $510. Item 7.16, to authorize to amend the engineering contract with Jacobs Engineering Group Incorporated, formerly JJG Incorporated, for the Two Creeks Inflow and Infiltration Reduction Project, Phase 1, and for the mayor to sign all documents related to the project. Item 7.17, to authorize approval of amendment number 4 to the engineering contract with GRW Engineers for the design of the new pump station along US 421 corridor to replace the Industrial Park pump station, and for the mayor to sign all documents related to this project. With the 4 amendments, the total amount of this contract is $660,841.05. Item 7.18, to authorize amending the engineering services agreement to QK4 for the final design and preparation of bidding and contract documents for a stormwater separation project to remove stormwater from Louisville Hill Road, and authorize the mayor to sign all documents related to the project. This total contract is now $159,000. Item 7.19, to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with Joe Penn Auctioneering. This is to perform the city's 2012 spring surplus auction. Item 7.20, to authorize the mayor to sign a 2-year contract with the option of additional 1-year extension with Galls for police uniforms and accessories. This is budgeted at the police department for $750 per officer. Item 7.21, to authorize disposal of surplus property for public auction. This will be for all items deemed obsolete or no longer required in their area of use. Item 7.22, to authorize the execution of a deed of easement in favor of the Electric and Water Plant Board, and authorize the mayor to sign all related documents. Item 7.23, to authorize award of a consultant agreement for professional services to Earthbird Studios for the visualization portion in conjunction with the 2nd Street Form-Based Task Force under Planning and Building Codes. Item 7.24, to authorize the mayor to sign a letter of commitment for Renaissance on Main in order to continue their program for the 2012 grants period. In accordance with provisions under the Renaissance on Main program, the Downtown Frankfort Incorporated Board of Directors and their Main Street manager have asked the City of Frankfort to authorize the mayor to sign a letter of commitment which will allow DFI and the city to continue to participate in this valuable program. Item 7.25, to authorize the signing of a memorandum understanding with Franklin County Fiscal Court for the filing of a grant application for 2012 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Program grant, known as JAG, and to authorize the mayor to sign all grant agreements. This project will be designed for the purchase of a total station which uses surveying technology to obtain the needed information from the crime scene to produce a scale diagram by the county. Under the Byrne Grant Memorial JAG program, City of Frankfort and Franklin County will be allocated $11,907 for community policing. Item 7.26, to authorize the execution of an agreement between the City of Frankfort and Pensley Railroad Company whereby the city will purchase for the amount of $3,000 the remaining former Frankfort and Cincinnati Railroad Company rail bed running from near High Street to US 421, as well as the deed of conveyance and any other related documents, and authorize the mayor to sign all related documents. This rail bed will be used as a portion of a pedestrian bicycle trail from Kentucky State University to an area near High Street. Item 7.27, to ratify a purchase order with Harrod Concrete and Stone Company that will be used to purchase concrete for the sidewalk replacement program. The city received written unit price quotes from 2 local concrete suppliers. The city anticipates purchasing $50,000 worth of concrete for this construction season to replace public sidewalks. The quoted unit price were $86 per cubic yard, to the low of $73 per cubic yard, which was submitted by Harrod Concrete. Item 7.28, to authorize a unit price contract for the 2012-2013 street resurfacing project with H.G. Mays. H.G. Mays was a low bidder in an amount of $68.97 per ton for surface mix, compared to last year's price of $66.59 per ton. This total year's program will cost approximately $249,000. Mayor, that concludes the consent.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gorman. Do we have a motion pertaining to the consent, adoption of the consent calendar?
So moved.
Commissioner Wilder for adoption. Do we have a second? Commissioner May. Okay, any discussion? Please call the roll.
I'd like to note that Commissioner Hedden has filed a vote modification form concerning item 7.2 to change her vote from yes to no. Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Hedden?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner May?
Yes.
Mayor Graham?
Yes, so the consent calendar is adopted. Okay, now we're down to board appointments, and there being none. Next is old business. Any old business? Commissioner Wilder.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to clear up a misconception about the Old Y grant as opposed to the potential Bell Point grant. We discussed this at our last work session, and if I remember correctly, I think we all expressed interest in a community housing, community development block grant for the Bell Point neighborhood and or another low-income neighborhood that could use some help. And there's I think there's really no reason we can't do both. We just have to apply in separate funding cycles. There's some catches to a community housing grant, like we would do in Bell Point. It would require some kind of in-kind match or investment from the city, but I think that would really be worth it. I mean, if we can raise the property values, if we can take the most blighted houses in a general area, fix them up, then not only does that increase those houses' property values, but it increases surrounding property values. So I think the property tax revenue alone that would generate would be worth the small investment from the city. There's obviously also a lot of value to restoring the old Y. Right now it's a blighted property. I'd say it's even a public health hazard. And if this grant is successful and that the old Y is restored, then it would generate, and that grant would require no match from the city. It's a different type of grant. So it would require no investment from the city at all, and if successful, the property tax revenue alone that it would generate would be about $50,000 a year, and that's not even including the occupational tax revenue and even potential room tax if it's successfully renovated into a hotel. So I think there's clearly a lot of value in doing both, and I really hope we do both. But if we're going to do both, it really only makes sense to do the old Y first. It's in a drastic state of disrepair. If it can't be fixed soon, the city's going to have to tear it down at our own expense. And condemning and tearing down a building that large that's directly on the river, the controls that we'd have to put around it in terms of keeping the asbestos and whatnot, I assume there's asbestos, and in keeping the destruction debris from getting into the river would make that a very expensive proposition. So I think anything we can do to avoid that expense is important. But more to the point, it takes quite a while to put these grants together. And the Grays have been working on a plan for the old Y for over a year now, and have gotten that project to the point where it's ready to move forward in terms of applying for a grant to mitigate slum and blight in this funding cycle. And I think we all agree that the Bell Point idea is a good one, and it has a lot of merit, but right now that's all it is an idea. There's no plan, there's no identified project. It only really came up recently. And so I think the only appropriate thing to do is to go ahead and apply for the old Y during this funding cycle because that application is ready, and then that gives us plenty of time to put together a plan for Bell Point and or another neighborhood, and to talk to the neighborhood about what its needs are, incorporate that into the plan, do all the necessary homework and research that needs to be done, and hopefully get an application together in time for the next funding cycle. But I think this idea that we have to do one or the other is really a misconception. I think there's really no reason we can't do both. One of them's ready to go now, and I think we can get the next one ready to go in time for the next funding cycle.
Any other comments?
Can I answer that? I'd just like to say that I don't view this as the old Y versus Bell Point as choose one or the other. I choose both, and I think that we can do that. We have to develop a plan for Bell Point, but I was hoping maybe Mr. Mueller would come up because I don't know if we've ever had an estimate on what it would cost to tear down the old Y, and I'd like to bring that number up if he remembers it off the top of his head. Because that would be an expense that we would probably have to incur if we didn't go through with this grant and support it. We don't have a number, is it? Because that's an expense that we would have to incur, and is it?
From memory, it was 123 to 127. 127,000 was a high, I think. It was right around 123. Is pure memory. I haven't looked it up recently.
Yeah, I recall it was in the hundreds of thousands. So
that was in 04, 05.
So it probably would even increase from that point. So I think it's worth a shot, is what I'm saying. That's where I stand on the old Y. It's worth a shot to try to prevent from incurring those costs in the future if we can. And I'm certainly for Bell Point Mayor. I agree with you that we need to do something in that neighborhood, and I plan to fully support that as we get to that point. Thank you.
Any other comments? On no business? Okay, I've got a couple here.
the one or the other comment was, you can only make, for clarification, you can only submit one grant proposal at a time. And the decision's been made, you know, by the council tonight, 4-1 vote. So, and I voted for mine. I felt it is appropriate to try to do the bill point, and 4-1. So,
Can I just add real quick that I understand the mayor's vote, because this was an issue that you had proposed and brought up, and you after this year will not be on the commission, so you won't be here for that next funding cycle. So I understand that. I just was explaining my position.
Right, I understand. Yeah. Okay, I had one other thing about old business is, you know, on a daily basis I get out in the community, and in about the last 10 days, 2 weeks, I've had 3 people say to me, and I just, because I've been talking about the budget, I openly talk about my concerns about the budget that we're working on now, and how that, you know, that the department heads, the city manager, have been dealing with requests for the budget, and it started off with a little over $2 million more than what the anticipated revenue for next year is going to be, and now with a third draft, I understand it's something like 1.7 million. So I've been making some comments about that, and have made statements over time that since I've been here, that I like to be sure that we try to maintain a reserve of 25% of the budget, because it's something that I was told was a good practice to follow before I became mayor, and I have supported that. And so then, but I've had, over the last couple of 10 days, 2 weeks, I've had 3 people say, well, I read, and some of the discussion had been about the, you know, we passed the balanced budget last June, but we've had, I don't know, 5 or 6 budget amendments to that budget since then, and so we're out of, we now maybe $800,000, $900,000 or whatever over what we passed last year as a budget, which was supposed to be balanced. So that's why I've been making a statement that we're out of balance. And so these 3 comments were made to me were that they had read something about how that, you know, recycling is picking up. We all know that. We've got a report that recycling is picking up. And the people had said, well, the recycling is picking up, so that's going to correct this negative balance that you're talking about. And I said, no, that's not true. Recycling is picking up, but it does not cover all the amount that we're out of balance. And so, just for clarification, so for my own integrity, Mr. Dawson, could you come up here, please? I want to ask you a question. Could you just maybe talk about in terms of how much we're bringing in more, or do we know that, from the recycling? We heard percentages the other day here.
Right.
And so how much more we're bringing in this year in recycling or whatever than last year? And how much, if we know that, as I recall, we budgeted $275,000 for the landfill, or something like that. And so we're saying, you know, recycling goes up, landfill goes down.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then factoring in the additional costs we've had from the garbage, buying the rollouts and things of this nature. Can you just give just a general feeling about how we stand on that? Do you have
Okay.
the numbers? Okay.
I've got some general numbers for, you know, we just completed our March financial statement.
Pardon me?
We just completed our March financial statement for the period March, July, of July 1st through March 31st of 2012. So I've got, I've got those numbers that we've picked up for that. And so far we've collected, this is what we've collected in the county, and I checked, I wanted to make sure that, that we've received everything that's due us. I think we're lagging about a month behind actually. But so far through the end of March this year, we've collected $121,000 from recycling income. And last year, the same period, I just compared the previous year to see how we stacked up the previous year, and we collected almost $96,000 the previous year. So we've collected about $25,000 more in recycling income March to March compared with last year. I took it, after the newspaper article came out a few weeks ago, I just wanted to see how we stacked up financially. So I looked at everything March to March from the previous year, 2011, to March of 2012 to see how it stacked up. And the garbage fee, of course, it was affected as well. So far this year, we've taken in $264,000. And last year we took in about $339,000, so that's down about $74,000. So if you net those two together, that's our fees that we're going to receive for sanitation, we're down about $50,000 from compared with last year, March 11 through March 2012, which is 9 months. On the expenditure side, I don't have the numbers specifically for the landfill, but I just wanted to see how we stacked up total expenditures for the sanitation department. And we've spent so far, March to date, for this fiscal year that we're in, we spent $1,500,000 approximately. Last year we spent $957,000, so we've spent about $541,000 more this year than we spent last fiscal year. But we know, we've talked about this. We knew that we were going to have to spend some money up front in order to set up the program. So, the biggest bulk of that increase in cost was for the equipment that it took to, the garbage cans, of course, $200,000 for the garbage cans, and then we bought the automated truck. I think those were purchased back in December. So if you net everything together, our expenditures and net income difference is about almost what's $590,000 is what the difference is from fiscal year to fiscal year. That's where we stand right now financially.
Okay, that's all. I just wanted to check my own integrity when I speak to people that we are having right now.
Yeah, we estimated that we were going to, and we made budget amendments for that as part of the, the budget amendments that we made, the $900,000 that you were talking about earlier. That's part of, those expenditures that have been realized, for this fiscal year.
Okay, Commissioner Wilder.
Well, without getting into, picking apart all these numbers, I'd just like to remind folks that the Commission has always known when discussing this that this program isn't going to pay for itself within the first year at all. This is an investment in long-term cost savings. About 7,000 other cities have done this. Most of them across the board have posted over time a reduction in their overall expenses. And there's an extent to which we're comparing apples and oranges here, because the savings and new revenue we generate continue forever, literally as long as the city exists. But the expenses to start the program will be completely absorbed within the first 5 years, which is why we did long-term cost estimates, etc., And so, I mean, we always knew this wouldn't save money within the first year. We projected it to save money over time. And staff gave us estimates for the first 5 years of the program. And so far, I mean, I know some of these numbers sound one way when they're presented like this, but so far, all the expenses of the program have proven to be less than budgeted for and less than anticipated. And so far, the increases in revenues and the decreases in tipping fees have been improving much faster and much larger than were initially anticipated. So I'd just like to note that obviously we're not going to save this money within the first year, but in terms of the numbers that are coming in, we're making progress towards these long-term cost savings much faster than were initially anticipated. So across the board, I think that's really good news. And in terms of this idea that the commission may be increasing the next budget by $2 million, I just also like to remind folks that we haven't. I mean, right now it looks like staff are going to request a $1.7 million increase to the budget, but so far those requests haven't been shared with the commission yet, and we haven't signed off on them yet. And I'm still hoping that we can get that number down, obviously. But the idea that the commission has already approved a $2 million increase to the next budget, we haven't even seen the next budget yet. That's still being the staff requests are still being prepared, and they haven't been presented to us. We've gotten some basic overviews. And so far, every department is requesting a budget increase except for the Public Works Department. That's the only department that is requesting a decrease in their budget in the next cycle. And so this idea that this commission is bankrupting the city by way of the Public Works budget is obviously just fictional. I mean, that's the only department that's requesting a budget decrease. And I'll also note that even when this commission took office at the beginning of last year, our reserves were calculated at about 8.2 million. That's off the top of my head. A little over 8 million. Our reserves were calculated a little over 8 million. And worst case scenario, according to independent audits, according to the financial statements we're getting, and according to our budgets and budget amendments, worst case scenario is that we end this fiscal year with the same amount in reserve that we started the term with. So again, this idea that we've been wiping out the city's reserves is also just completely fictional. So again, I would just remind folks to, I mean, take any rumors you hear about the city with a grain of salt, and please, take a close look at the actual facts and numbers before forming any opinions. This is all a matter of public record, and all these documents can be provided to any member of the public upon request.
A comment. Yes, Commissioner Turner.
Thanks, Mayor. When I first came onto the commission, one of the primary things I met with Mr. Dawson, and we talked about the city finances and sort of forecasted and looked and talked about what are the biggest contributors to our budget problem. Let it be known that at this time last year, before we passed that balanced budget, Mr. Goins, we were looking at a $1.2 million deficit at that point. Is that correct? Roughly around that area, if not around this point. 1.4?
Yeah, around this time, 1.4.
So we were at this point last time we were looking at a $1.4 million deficit. Right now we're looking at a 1.789, I think is the last number I heard. So it's not impossible to get that number down to balance at that point. But when I met with Mr. Dawson when I first came onto the commission, and actually in fact it may have been during the campaign, he informed me that the two driving forces for our budget problems was the increased retirement contributions that we have to do to the county employment retirement system and the rising cost of health care. Now, we cannot do anything about the county employee retirement system. We have to contribute what they tell us we have to contribute. With regards to the health insurance program, this was the first commission to reform that program since 1997. So for all of those years that was a major issue, no other commission reformed it until us in, last year. Mm-hmm. And I think that demonstrates that this commission is working to fix some of these budget problems that have existed and that are continuing to exist, and trying to tackle the ones that we see are problems and could be problems down the road. And I think that's really the key to successful budgeting is trying to anticipate, okay, in 10, 15, 20 years, what are going to be the major costs to the city of Frankfort? And when we set up this table, it's clear. I mean, you can look all across the country, and one of the fastest rising costs are landfill disposal. And one of the numbers that Mr. Dawson didn't have ready tonight, which no fault of his own, is the exact number of what that means, a 33% decrease in what we're sending to the landfill. I'm sure we could probably figure out an approximate number on the fly, but that number is going to continue to grow, and we're going to reap those benefits not only this year, next year, the year after. What happens when the landfill comes and says we're going to raise our rates? Then we're stuck with paying higher ones. Had we not put in a pay-as-you-throw system, we would not have any way to combat that or control that. I also wanted to point out that, you know, there are a lot of complaints out there that why is the city buying these cans? Why are they doing this? This doesn't make any sense. This is just wasted effort. Well, if you think it's wasted effort, go and look and see what all the for-profit companies are doing to make money off of trash. They're doing the same exact thing we are. So we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're following a very proven model of cutting long-term costs. We've not only done it for solid waste, we've tried to do it for health insurance, and we need to continue to do it in City Hall if this city wants to enjoy the same quality of life long into the future. Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner Watley.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to tack on a couple extra points to that. The cost savings from the garbage program don't just come in terms of recycling revenue and decreased tipping fees. I mean, we're also anticipated as we move, the fact that we provided carts to everybody means that we can phase our collection program into automated collection, where the trucks essentially pick up the carts. Now, we didn't jump directly into that because we still have existing working trucks that have to collect the old way. So we're going to phase in, meaning that as the city has to replace those trucks in the natural course of their life cycle, then we can replace them with trucks that can automate the collection process. But over time, we also expect that to save the city money in terms of decreased labor costs and perhaps even more importantly in terms of decreased workers' compensation claims, because repetitive lifting of those carts can cause a lot of injuries. So by automating them, and the city self-insures, and so that drives our health care costs, and so by mitigating those injuries, we can decrease our workers' comp claims. Oh, rats, I had one other point, and I guess. Oh, well, also, just to clarify, I absolutely agree that the city has taken money out of reserve. I mean, I hope that's clear, and the mayor's absolutely right when he says that, and so nobody's challenging your integrity on that statement. That is a true statement. We have taken money out of reserve to invest in long-term cost savings and public safety. We've also, the city during this term has also added and saved as much as we've taken out, which is why we're on track. Even if revenues stay flat and nothing improves for the rest of the fiscal year, worst case scenario, we end the fiscal year at a little over $8 million, which is where we started the term at. So that's all.
One more thing, Mayor, and I'm done, I promise. One of the things that I really focused on when I was talking with the anticipated costs and trying to forecast what would happen, and I just wanted to add, because Commissioner Wilder's comments jogged my memory, but one of the major concerns in our solid waste department is the steady inflow of inmates who have been an integral part in keeping our costs low. If you did not adopt the pay-as-you-throw system and you did not get the cans, if the inmate contract ended, we would have to hire employees to fill those positions. Those are additional salaries, additional health care, additional retirement. We have put ourselves into a position to where we can fend off those costs by going fully automated. And that's something that I think speaks volumes for what the potential of this program is. And just to add, I think that the people of this community read Ms. Kaylee's article last week, or maybe it was the week before, about pay-as-you-throw system. I think that this is something that the people of this community can really be proud of. Those are very impressive numbers in terms of increasing recycling and the amount of decreasing waste we're sending to the landfill. Those are very impressive and, you know, exceed many expectations. Our expectations here at City Hall were 15% over 5 years, and here in the first 3 months we're seeing significant increases and decreases in waste into the landfill. So that's it. I'm finished. Thank you.
Mr. Dawson, what is the anticipated revenue that we will collect this year through June the 30th?
What's the anticipated total revenue?
Yeah, our revenue, that we consider it our general revenue flow.
31 million.
31 million. All right, sir. That's what we anticipate bringing in. How much are we going to spend this year?
Well, our adjusted budget is 32 million.
32, okay. That's
With
$1
all
million.
with the amendments.
All right, okay. Now,
I'm hoping, that we can, ratchet some of that down, but that's what, right now, that's what we've got.
okay, now, in the past, I've heard in the comments, discussion we've had. Going back and tracking the revenue flow since 2000. Have we, or have we not, been purchasing equipment from other funds?
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
Okay.
And in fact, that's what, at one point I reiterated a few minutes ago that, you can't really compare this year's sanitation costs with last year's sanitation costs because we purchased the truck, the garbage truck, out of another fund. We purchased it out of the transportation account. This year we purchased it out of the general fund. So, it's not really apples to apples
That
comparison.
is my concern.
Yeah.
My concern is what is the anticipated revenue? And I understand the anticipated revenue that's coming up for the next fiscal year is going to be just about the same as we got this year.
It's looking pretty flat. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
and so right now we're $1 million above that.
Right. At
And
least,
so
yeah.
then we're going to go into another budget. And we're going to have some recurring costs.
Right.
And so I know.
It's going to be difficult.
I know we've had over $2 million of grants for various things that Ms. Rebecca has done. But I mean, the thing I'm concerned is what is the revenue flow? Because we all said we wanted to have a structurally balanced budget, and this is my concern.
Right.
And
Our
figured-
revenue flow is 31 million. So in order to stay structurally balanced, our expenses need to be 31 million.
Okay, I feel enough. We've got to release and we've got to talk to our folks in.
That's
So,
where we need to
okay.
be.
Thank you very
I think
much.
everybody agrees that it would be great to get down to 31 million,
Yeah, all right.
and I'm all for trying to do that.
Sure. Okay, still with old business, Mr. Goins, we have new business.
Item 10.1, to consider authorizing a contract with McAllen Solutions to study and document the city's current technology systems and to take suggestions on efficiency improvement. And also something that they would be doing is developing a backup system, and to authorize the mayor to sign all related documents. This has been something that we recognize we need to do, and also our auditor has said this would be a good thing for improving internal control measures. And the study would be not to exceed $5,500.
Okay, to have a motion.
Just a quick question.
Yes, sir. Let's have a motion first, and then we'll have a discussion, okay?
So
Okay.
moved.
Got a motion for approval, got a second?
Second?
Second, okay, just question.
Just a real quick question. From the way I'm reading the financial analysis, this is money that's already in our budget. There's no amendment or anything that has to be done for that. We've already got that.
That's correct. The IT department would provide $4,500, and the sewer department would provide $1,000.
That's all. Just confirming that.
Okay, any other question or comment? Okay, call the roll, please.
Mr. Wilder?
Yes.
Mr. Heady?
Yes?
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner May?
Yes.
Mayor Graham?
Yes, so 10.1 is approved. Now, is there anything?
Katie's ready to go.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I
You gotta do
know,
something
I
new
know
business?
we're all dying to discuss, but we also, under new business, we need to figure out May's schedule for meetings,
yeah.
because Memorial Day is on our voting meeting. And I would personally like to go ahead and plan out my month to find out what Mondays I get to sit with you, Mayor, and fellow commissioners. So we have the 7th, the 14th, 21st, and the 28th. The 28th being Memorial Day, which would be the 4th Monday of the month. I personally would not like to meet on a holiday when nobody else is working.
We could just do I'd be in favor of just doing the following Tuesday.
The 29th, is that what?
Sure.
I'd be in favor of moving it to the 21st and just having the voting meeting instead of 2 work sessions. I don't know what.
I anticipate being pretty busy on the 21st. But
Budget.
You said the 21st?
Yeah, but these two say the 29th, which is a Tuesday.
Well, it doesn't, either one did. Could we do it on the 24th maybe, like Thursday? Is that possible? Or is there other?
I'm open to doing it any time after the.
Ramon, is there anything?
We can
on
also
schedule
work this out in a
24th?
work session. For what it's worth.
What are you looking
I
at?
don't, I don't know, there may be, Mr. Mueller may know planning meetings better than I.
Should we discuss this at the first work session on the 7th?
Sure.
I think that's fine.
Yeah, let's.
Okay.
All right. Any
Good
other new
call.
business?
We can figure that out.
Any other new business?
Mike,
Mr. Thorne.
we have a complaint hearing, I think, that needs to be scheduled.
Right. If you'll recall, there's the problem resolution complaint that's been filed, and there was some discussion between the city manager and I about whether or not you want to add that to the end of the first meeting in the work session in May, or at the end of the voting meeting in May. So that would be the hearing on the problem resolution complaint, if the commission is inclined to hold such a hearing.
Have we heard from the commission? Is there support for that?
It appeared that there was, based upon responses to the notice that the city clerk sent out.
Mr. Lane?
If there's going to be a vote, I'll have to, in accordance with Section 39.05 of the City of Frankfort Code of Ethics, I'm refraining from voting on whether hearings should be held pending the problem resolution complaint filed by Fire Sergeant Brad Durr and firefighter Ed Hunt because of my representation of the Kentucky Sheriff's Association and the fact that Franklin County Sheriff is on the KSA Board of Directors. So I would have to submit that if there's going to be any vote, just to avoid Chapter 39.05. I'll file that with the city clerk and ask that that be made part of the official record. Thank you.
Well, I'll just say that I'm in favor of doing that. I mean, I don't really care when we do this. We've been slower to respond to this grievance than normal, and so I'd be in favor of doing it sooner rather than later. I mean, we've got the first Monday open. We've got the 7th as well, but I'm open to suggestion.
I would say add it on to the 14th meeting, if that's okay. That's, I mean, we're not pushing it to the end of the month, but we're.
The 14th meeting?
Our first work session. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that would be the 2nd.
We don't have a meeting on the first meeting.
Oh, okay.
Be the first.
So 14th.
Could I recommend that you all schedule it for a specific time, 7 o'clock or 7:30, whatever the appropriate time is, so that the people involved know when to come?
If we're in the middle of our agenda, can we halt the
We can
agenda?
recess.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. We could do 7.
I think 7's wise.
Yeah.
We'll have our time.
6:42, okay.
Well, we don't. You know, we
6:41 and a half.
we tend to have short meetings, so I don't want to schedule it too late.
Right,
you know?
right. That was a joke.
Yeah, I didn't.
I got it.
Yeah, nothing but cricket chirps back there. Gosh.
This is budget season. We're gonna have some long meetings. When are we gonna be picking it? When are we gonna get to see the budget request?
And before, I apologize, Commissioner, before we move on to that, could we have a motion?
Oh.
Because if y'all are going to schedule a hearing, we would need to do that by motion. if you're gonna hear that.
I'll move
I apologize.
to hear this grievance on May 14th at 7 o'clock PM. Yeah.
Second.
Okay, we're discussing, okay, call roll.
Mr. Wilder?
Yes.
Mr. Hadden? Yes. Mr. Turner?
Yeah.
Mr. May?
He's refraining.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Mayor Graham?
Well, I'll go along with it, yeah. So,
Got in the groove here.
okay, 7 o'clock.
So I'm ready to make a motion to adjourn, but first, when are we gonna look at the budget? When are we gonna?
We've got the detailed budget ready to go out, planning on May 1st, right? And after that, we'll be ready to discuss
Oh,
it.
great. Yeah. Yeah, we're not gonna get out before 7 on the 14th. I'll guarantee everybody that right now. Great.
Okay, any more new business?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Got a second? Mr. Turner, second. I call the roll.
Mr. Wilder?
Yes.
Mr. Hadden? Yes. Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mayor Graham?
Yes.